Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Ask the Beard Baron. Episode 57, where I take your questions from around the internet, answer them right here. So you got a question, leave it down below. We'll add to the big long list, but let's get into it. Hey, my good friend E-Rock from YouTube writes, John, does your beard ever go through a weird phase because of weather change? Well, yes, E-Rock, I do have some issues, usually down towards the fall, winter transition zones. During the winter as a whole, that there'll be such a change in dryness that my beard will undergo this weird, I would say straw-like, hay-like consistency even after applying product. And that will usually let me know that I need to reassess what I'm doing product-wise. So most of the times it's just too dry. I need to up my beard oil probably by a couple of drops. And this might only last maybe a week or two depending upon how dry the conditions are. And like I said, it usually goes from a change, but I can really tell the difference when my beard goes through a weather change of that really dried out straw, you're almost no open flames near me please, because this thing might go up. But for me, that's usually when it is, and I know when it happens. So like I said, I usually just monitor of what I'm doing for product, change it up. That's why I usually tell guys during the course of the year, your beard will go through changes, some more so than others, so you might have to reassess what you're doing, how you're doing, how often you're washing, not washing, and product, of course. Mileage may vary, as always. That's becoming my slogan now. Your mileage may vary, like when am I selling tires? The Alchemist Bushcrafter from Instagram writes, what inspired you to call yourself the Beard Baron? And how did you come by the name? Alchemist, this is a great question. This is an origin story if I've ever heard one. Back in 2014, I was sitting down with the idea for the Beard Baron for a YouTube channel that I wanted to start. I had just come off the YouTube channel Johnny Bonsai, now defunct, doesn't exist anymore. I was changing gears at that point in time from Johnny Bonsai, and I knew I needed some sort of name that kind of represented me of who I was. Also, I wanted beard in that name so people understood what I was dealing with and what I was going to be talking about right away just by looking at the uploader name. So for me, I had this kind of list going. I had some real whack names in there, but my young sister, shout out to Gigi, one night right before dinner, she just turned to me in their chair. She goes, well, what about the Beard Baron? And I go, done. It was instant. It was she finished the sentence, and in my mind, I was the Beard Baron, and it lived up and kind of fit in with the brand and the identity of what I was trying to put together at the time and where I was looking to go with it. So my sister named me the Beard Baron. D-Shack from Instagram, writes a deep one. If you could give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be and why? Can you give yourself a piece of advice? I'm not sure if I could give myself a piece of advice, but I could give you guys a piece of advice. And I guess it's the advice that I was always take and I've lived by that has served me for almost my entire life. And the advice is, and I would still give it to myself, is the Boy Scout motto. 2 words, be prepared. Those 2 words together, any situation, going out walking the dog, making sure I have the right coat or hat on so I don't freeze and have a miserable time. Being in the car and having a breakdown, but being prepared for any kind of roadside kind of issues you might have. Be prepared kind of goes across the entire spectrum. That's why I think that level of advice works really well, because you can plug it into many different things, because advice is a really tricky game, and this would be the advice I would give, even though this is going to be really counterintuitive once you hear it. You need to be really careful taking advice from other people. And this is because most of the time, advice is only regret wrapped up in a new little package and presented to someone else in the hopes that the opposite of what they did is the right thing, the thing that they regret. So people will take an experience they had in the past that they either failed at, things didn't go well at, and they'll turn that around and be like, well, the opposite of what I did would be advice. And then they start handing that out to people, even though they're giving advice from a failed position. So I tell people this, if someone's gonna give you advice, even unwarranted advice from anyone, ask yourself this question when it's happening. Would I change my life with that person in this situation? If the answer is no, don't take the advice. There's a big difference between advice and wisdom. And if you can decipher the 2 of those, you'll go really, really far in life. Nathan MIH from Instagram writes, which scent has sold the most or the fastest? Well, Nathan, if I'm looking back on our most recent kind of cataloging of where we're at with certain scents, I would have to say our #1 selling scent is Fireside. Has been for a long time. It's a beautiful, fantastic scent. I highly recommend it to anyone who's always looking for a woodsy scent that's not looking for the typical pine tree woodsy scent, but they want that kind of like woodsy, hardy kind of scent. Fireside is it. It's got that kind of like campfire-ish kind of smokiness without being something that's been burnt. It's really hard to describe, but that's kind of like the gist of how I try and let people know what it's all about. Fastest selling, I believe, was Capulet when it first launched back in 2017. That thing flew off the website, incredibly so. I think that was one of our best launches, or I would say fastest launches of a scent going. But those two right there, that's what it basically boils down to. As always, guys, I love answering your questions. Keep them coming. Got some really good ones this week. I really appreciate that. And if you got questions that are not beard or mustache care related, drop them down below anyways. Like I said, we'll add them to the list. We'll see where they shake out. But all my links are down below, guys. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Till then, take care.